My ex and I have been through it with our share of struggles and a lot of triumphs, from our love of food and travel, our shared sense of humor, our first home, our first son, our second son, to the passing of his dad and my postpartum depression, and then the passing of my dad, and our own baggage and clutter that we individually brought into the relationship, and our very biased point of view to explain what's happening to us. It rocked our humble, fragile household. Our own defenses and our walls never came crashing down fast enough to repair the damage in this iteration of our relationship. But I have high hopes for the next iteration, what we are moving into. And I look back on our intertwining lives and I see it was most certainly for a reason that we got together. We lived a lot of life together and we've been there for each other through thick and thin. And we will continue to be there for each other through thick and thin in some respect because we have kids together and we both want them in our lives. And I can see the stares I get and the shame I feel in taking the path of divorce. And then I also see the stares and feel the shame as I immediately welcome back and accept this man as a good friend and co-parent. Even after I've been so deeply shocked and appalled by this man at certain times in our relationships, I still know his heart. And I'm sure he feels the same about me. Shocked and appalled, but still knows my heart. And that's what I cling to. Maybe it isn't about clinging to nothing in this lifetime so much as reducing what you cling to as little as possible. Like the limiting beliefs, the lies, the fear, the hesitation to live your best life. The guilt, the isolation, the self-judgment and condemnation. And because we're always seeking to find where we belong, we eventually gather around people who look like us and act and sound like us, who make us feel a little less bad about ourselves because we're in safe company. We can easily see how they are our reflections. I say it like this. If I want a friendship where I can show up in no makeup and not feel judged, that's on me. I have to choose to not wear makeup and not feel judged. My ex made me feel safe and sexy just as I was, until he didn't, because I didn't. Then I realized that's not an identity I had fully walked into yet myself, feeling safe and sexy as a mother. If that is something I choose for myself, then I get to work on feeling comfortable with no makeup and judged by no one. And if I don't fully accept that identity yet, then I work toward accepting it until it becomes my truth. Or I can work really hard on doing my makeup better. My choice. So yeah, I choose to remember that I trusted this man with my life. And I know he'll always do his best to make his kids proud of him as a dad. I know he'll always be there for them. And I know there are things that he's clinging to that make him defensive toward me, and the same with me toward him. But I do believe we'll be on the other side of this if I stay clear-headed and compassionate and committed to only what matters, and not cling to the fear, the insecurity, the despair, the grief, the self-hatred, the shame either. We both will have to eventually get there. I'll be the change I wish to see. That way my boys get to have him in their lives in a positive, healthy way, to see their parents getting along. I read Dr. John Gottman said that that's the greatest gift we could give our kids. And I know that's because our relationship helps them nurture their own understanding of themselves. And I wouldn't want to cut that off because that's part of their growing self-awareness. And yet I know there are women who have to cut it off with their exes. And that just breaks my heart because I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is for her to do that and how her heart is breaking. And I know how hard it might end up being for these little humans who came to experience the world and be fully themselves, to feel confident in their skin if their childhood is at all compromised. And that is where you discover my clutter, me living in lack. So I get to believe the opposite, right? If I didn't believe this man is everything I trust to be with my kids, then I'm expending energy on defending and finding evidence for him being untrustworthy. So instead, I choose to believe he is everything I trust him to be for them. So I get to search and find evidence for the end that I'd rather believe in, where he is a standout dad and plays sports with them and is a wise source of man-to-man advice as they get older because he knows when to model vulnerability and honesty. That's what I believe. That's me living in the wish fulfilled, and it's already working. This is what I see more often in my 3D reality, the fruits of this relationship building. So there is something to clinging to less stuff, less stories, less setbacks, having less people whose opinion I cling to for validation in my life, because I know what I'm doing is for the best of everyone involved, per my own opinion. And who knows, I might be holding myself back by the number of people I'm choosing to please as I go about this, and their conflicting opinions about who I should be through it all. But I'm consulting with myself every day, especially when the chatter is the loudest. The number of people you're living for, consider that an energy leak, because you're living to please that person in some small way, maybe in a big way, and yet that doesn't make it their problem. It makes it yours. Like I say in my book, The Declutter Code, whoever perceives the problem is the only person who has the problem. If you perceive it as a problem, it is your problem to fix. You're the cause and the cure. Anything otherwise would be you giving your power away to a solution outside of yourself. Hence, why you point fingers when it doesn't work out. And the cure to all this madness, clutter, chaos, stress, breakdown, resentment, isn't fix all the problems you perceive, it's change your perspective. And as we start to reduce the number of people, places, possessions that we cling to for validation, happiness, approval, we incrementally feel more free, less weighed down by other people's opinions, hopes, and dreams, when they directly conflict with the hopes and dreams you have for yourself. Whether I keep someone in my life at an arm's length away or keep them close to my chest is up to me. And the same goes for you.